Hey guys, Christina Poncher here, and you're watching True School Sports.
Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, I came here to talk about a fight that's supposed to happen, next whenever this whole coronavirus epidemic is done with, or whenever things go back to normal. And it's in the very underrated featherweight division, and it's gonna be between two of the highest volume punchers in the sport of boxing. We're talking about Joshua Warrington. We're talking about Zhu Can in a big unification fight at 126. The IBF champion and the WBA champion putting it on the line. And listen, this matchup is very intriguing for so many reasons to me. Number one, obviously, these two are letting leather go as much as any fighters in boxing. So, we've seen Zhu Can touch well over 1,000 punches a couple of times in his career. Josh Warrington's capable of doing that himself as well. So it's not out the realm of possibility that we could see records broken in terms of punches thrown. And for that reason, the fight is very, very intriguing and very, very exciting to think about. Now, another thing is this: a lot of times in boxing, sometimes the elite fighters, when they have their big fights, their fights aren't as exciting because they don't get hit as much and they're not as vulnerable. But these two guys right here are vulnerable enough for this fight to produce a lot of fireworks. They don't punch. Neither one of them punches that hard. Between the two of them, they only have not 10 knockouts in 50 combined fights. So these guys aren't exactly ironing people out and folding them up in terms of their knockouts. They're breaking you down, they're outworking you, they're hustling you. They're doing that, but they're not knocking you out, spark out like a Mike Tyson or anything like that, or like a Prince Nassim Hamed, if you want to make an analogy to a hard punching featherweight of yesteryear. They're not doing that. In this weight class, none of the champions really punch that hard, and I would even venture to say that the hardest puncher of the champions is probably Shakur Stevenson, which says a lot about the weight class, because Shakur is a solid puncher, but he's not. He should never be the hardest puncher of the champions in a weight class. But that's just my opinion. But just talking about the style matchup, for me personally, if I had to pick somebody to favor, I would favor Zhu Can. I would favor him. I'm gonna tell you why I'd favor him, because I feel like he's a fighter that's coming into his own slowly but surely. I think he's even though Warrington's the better has more championship experience in terms of the fights he's won and who he's beat, like Carl Frampton and guys like that. I just think Zhu Can is slowly but surely improving on a fight-by-fight basis. I think Pedro Diaz is going to be a big difference in this fight, because I've watched, I've been binge watching Zhu Can the last couple of days. I've watched like 3 of his fights, and I've noticed some minor stylistic adjustments he's made. Pedro Diaz has this thing now where he's got Zhu Can moving his head off the line. And for those of you that don't know what I mean when I say off the line, just imagine if I'm boxing you, right? Imagine the middle of the screen is the line. So I don't want my head to stay right here in the middle of the line, because if I stay right here in the middle of the line, I get hit. And that was a problem Zhu Can had a lot in the past. But what Pedro Diaz is doing is he's getting Zhu Can to move to the right of the line, to the left of the line. And when he moves to either side of the line, which no matter what side it is, if he moves to the right of the line, he's getting him to triple up on punches, and then turn and create new angles off of him tripling up, doubling up off of punches. And this is a very minor adjustment that people who don't really know what they're watching, or to the untrained eye, they're not gonna know what I'm talking about. But people I'll give him a shout out. People like my boy Mark from Unrivaled Boxing Talking News, who understand boxing, they'll see things like this. So I think Jukan is going to be in a position somewhere in that fight to catch Josh Warrington with something really, really good and really, really solid. Because they're one and the same. Warrington, and I think he's got better feet. I think he's got better footwork than Josh Warrington. Josh Warrington is good. Josh Warrington is very durable. They're both very durable. But I think that the three biggest clear-cut differences I see between the two are, number one, Jukan is slightly taller. He's coming in at about 5'9", with a 69-inch reach. Josh Warrington is 5'7" with a 67-inch reach. So I think that'll play a role, because Jukan has actually been using his jab a lot more. He did in the Manny Robles fight. Also, I think in terms of footwork, I think Jukan's feet are a bit smarter than Josh Warrington's. So I think because of this, and because of that little adjustment I told you about, it's going to put him in position to land something significant. And whether or not it does anything to Warrington, I'm not so sure, because again, this guy only has 3 knockouts. These two have knockout ratios that Paulie Malignaggi would be proud of. They're not really renowned for the punching power, but I just think there's a lot of similarities between them. But to me, the fighter who I feel is ticking upward, who's getting better, who's improving as a fighter, is Jukan. And I know, yes, Jukan lost some fights early in his career when he was a younger fighter in China, because he's 18-2. For those of you who aren't as familiar with him, but he's 18-2, and that's what it is. But I just think he's the fighter that's trending upwards. He's the fighter who's coming into his own. He's the fighter who I'm picking to win that fight. Josh Warrington, to be honest with you, I think he's overachieved. I think he's overachieved. Won 2 fights that people weren't expecting him to win. One against Lee Selby, and then one against Carl Frampton. And he just overwhelmed these guys with pure work rate, stamina, and force. But I just don't think that's gonna cut the mustard with Jukan. Jukan is a young, fresh fighter who's coming into his own. I think, and you know what? I might even have a bold prediction here. I think that fight against Warrington, it might even be his coming out party. I would think it'll be his coming out party. I mean, people know who he is that really follow boxing, but he wins that fight, he's unified champion, and I anticipate that it's going to be a really entertaining, action-packed fight, and it could be the fight that really puts him on the map. So I'm picking him to win. I just think the angles, the youth, the size, that's the clear-cut difference for me. But Warrington can win this fight. We're not going to exactly confuse Jukan with Pernell Whitaker. He's there to be hit as well, and if Warrington does hurt him, like let's say the same way when he fought Carl Frampton, he blitzed him. Let's say he blitzes him like he blitzed Carl Frampton, and somehow he hurts Jukan and gets his respect early. Then, I might look like a fool when we come back to this video. But for now, just based on what I've seen and getting into the tape of both fighters, I'm favoring Jukan. But it's gonna be a great fight whenever it happens. Probably the most entertaining fight at 126 right now in the featherweight division. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Jukan versus Josh Warrington. Let me know who you're favoring and why. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dania. So until next time, take care, guys.
My name is Rachel McDonough, and this is my friend. Hi, I'm Savannah. And we're here at the beautiful Madison Square Garden for the big fight, and you are watching True School Sports.